Hi everybody, Miss Lavoie here. So what I have up is the Wednesday Wars November reading questions. Okay, I'm looking at it while making the video. Okay, I'm also outside because it's gorgeous out. So what I suggest you do is you should also have up the Wednesday War November reading questions while listening to this video, and you can go through each of them while I'm talking about them. You could jot down notes, you can write about it, pause the video, whatever works for you. So, let's read the instructions. After you have finished reading, create a document and type your answers to the following questions. Be sure to write in complete sentences and try your best to use correct capitalization, punctuation, grammar, and spelling. Be sure to fully explain your answer and reference specific details from the chapter to show that you've read and understood the chapter. On the following page, complete a journal entry about this chapter. That's on the instruction part. So for one, what news does Holling's father deliver? What is interesting or unusual about the way he delivers the news? I'm going to try not to get rid of, I'm going to try to not say all the answers because I want you guys to think. But I will give a hint. He was very happy, and usually he's very like monotone, which means he talks like this. Hi, Holling. He's pretty stern. So, but we see a new side of him, and he gets very excited and he gets very happy. And take a guess why he's super excited and super happy. Because his company got the job working with Mrs. Baker's company, right? It was this huge, big thing. That's why he wanted Holling to be really nice to Mrs. Baker and make sure everything works out with them. So he was very excited. He was jumping around the room. Holling said he was going up and down the steps of their porch and their stairs and dancing with their mother. And he was just so happy. So that's number one. Number two, how does Holling manage to get the cream puffs from Goldman's Bakery without enough money? What does he agree to do for Mr. Goldman? So Holling goes to the bakery, and remember it was he was like $2.80 short, and Mr. Goldman was like, I'm not giving you the cream puffs. And Mr. Goldman pretty much, he said, oh, if only you knew Shakespeare, I'd give them to you. Obviously Mr. Goldman did not expect him to know Shakespeare. And then Holling said, oh, I know Shakespeare. Soon enough, Holling promised to do a play with Mr. Goldman about Shakespeare. And then Holling got the cream puffs for free, which was awesome. For free, what does he have to do though? Be in the play, right? He has to be in the play. So technically he's not getting it for free because he has to act and such, but you know. So for three, what happens to the cream puffs this time? How do the classmates respond? So, the two friends who live in the ceiling of the school now, little tiny rats, they snuck down, and while the kids were outside for recess, they snuck down and ate the cream puffs. And how do you think the students felt about that? They were mad. Yeah, they were mad. So, they were pretty annoyed. Side note, what I suggest you to do when you write these out is go back and say on page whatever it says. I feel like that would be really helpful too, to go back and answer these questions. Like looking in your book. 4. How is Holling unexcited about playing Ariel? There's one specific thing that he says why he really doesn't want to play Ariel in the play. I'm not going to give it away. But there's one specific thing he says. It has to do about the clothing that he's going to have to wear. So 5. Why do you think Mrs. Baker replaces the 24 cream puffs? Make an inference about what this shows about her character. So an inference is something that you come up with on your own, right? Meaning that in the book, it will not say Mrs. Baker is a really nice person. The inference might be how she acts towards others, and you're inferring that, okay, she is a nice person because she just bought 24 cream puffs for her classroom. That's an example. But the inference you might make might not be that she's, nice. It might be anything. It could be maybe you still might think that she has something against Holling, so you're like, she's trying to pull a prank or something. She's a prankster, whichever. Whichever way you infer what she did is your inference. I personally think she's not pulling a prank. I think that she is just a really nice lady, and Holling is starting to see that about her. For number 6, what does Mrs. Baker argue about the ending of The Tempest in the character Caliban? What does she believe about defeat? So just how it was in number 4, I'm going to have you look for number 6 on your own as well. I want you to put that in your own words for this one, for 6, and I want you to, reflect on what you think she believes what defeat is. 7, how does Holling describe the way Mrs. Biggio enters the room and the sounds she makes? What does Holling later learn? So she was very upset. Something happened in her family that has to do with the war. Once again, I want you to look. I want you to go back and read. But she makes this noise that Holling really refers to that stuck with him. And it wasn't like a joyous, like, yay! It was very sad, and he felt sad after hearing that. For 8, in November, Catholic Relief Agency is vandalized with the message, "Go home, Viet Cong." Why? What is this scene intended to show this reader? So when someone vandalizes, that's not a good thing, right? So even if you didn't know what, "Go home, Viet Cong" could mean, when someone vandalizes property, that's never right. So from this point forward, what do you think this scene is now showing you? Why do you think that the reader added that in after he said how Mrs. Biggio's husband died in war? How do you think now that it's coming, closer to home in a way? And how do you think too that how Holling is seeing all of this? And how he could now be thinking of it. And then for 9, explain what Holling means when he says, "Sometimes the quality of mercy is strained." At the end of the chapter, what 2 specific events might he be referring to? So that happens. He says that I would look at pages 70 to 72. And I want you to read through those pages. And this is why I'm not saying all the answers, because I want you to explain that in your own words. I want you to take this reading and explain that in your own own words. The 2 events that he talks about does happen at the end of the chapter. So, yeah, the end of the chapter ended really sad, I thought. Kind of shook me a little bit. And then, you know, for your journal, the journal seems really fun. So now I'm on the journal. It says, describe, write a 1-paragraph journal entry explaining your opinions on the chapter. Below are some suggested questions for you to consider. Did you enjoy reading this chapter? Why or why not? What was your favorite or least favorite part of this chapter? Why? What parts of this chapter did you relate to? Why? What do you think is the message of this chapter? What questions did you have while reading this chapter? So, I personally have a lot of questions that I want to know. Like, how is this now turning? Because I feel like now we're going to see a lot more of how people are affected from the Vietnam War. That's what my put was from how the chapter ended and how it's now going to affect hauling. But, you know, who knows? Maybe we won't. Who knows? But I hope everybody, I hope this helps. Please, 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 please email me if you have any questions. I miss you all, and I hope you get outside today. It's gorgeous. Bye, guys.